أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. All right, inshallah, we will continue with our discussion on the 21st flash. We are on the third rule. So last time we discussed the second rule, which was about how in the service of the Quran we are obligated in a way, as the author was sharing his experience, that you are all students who are of the Quran. We should be engaging with the Quran, and whatever message we benefit from it, we can share with others. Right? So you form a collective personality, and that's how you become a perfect man. Right? So we inculcate all the benefit that we are, the message that we received for ourselves as well, and then we can share whatever we can with the others as well, because we know that this life is only temporary. It's not our permanent residence here, right? Nobody can say that I'm gonna live forever. So the perfection of the perfect only comes basically when with sincerity and unity amongst each other. Right. So the author also made the examples of like if one he said components of a factory, if one part of the factory doesn't work, then the whole production from the factory gets hurt, right? In the same way, that's when if the brothers and sisters who are working together for the hereafter, for the sake, for the Quran, if they are one severs from each other, then yeah, the whole in a way that harms a lot of the output that would be resulting in, some many we lose out on the beneficial aspect of many things. So he gave also the three Aleph unite, so the examples of the mystery of how unity brings strength into one's being. So we will start reading from the third rule. So he says, you should know that all your strength lies in sincerity and truth. Yes, strength lies in truth and sincerity. So he repeats that, like if somebody's wondering, okay, all your strength lies in sincerity. He says, he agrees, he emphasizes it further. Yes, strength lies in truth and sincerity. Even those who do wrong gain strength from their sincerity in their wrongdoing. So sincerity in general, whatever, even if it's for the wrong emphasis or for to harm someone, if to cause some harm, even if it's done sincerely, it gains strength as well. So the way the sincerity works, either for the truth or for the falsehood, it will gain strength. But of course, he's saying that know that how much, sincerity is important in the truth. So what we are seeking, all of us are seeking. So evidence that strength lies in truth and sincerity is the service of ours. A small amount of sincerity in our work proves this claim and is evidence for itself. For 7 or 8 years of service to learning and religion here has surpassed 100-fold the 20 years of service I performed in my native region and in Istanbul. And in these places, the people assisting me were 100 or even 1,000 times more numerous than my brothers who work together with me here, where I am alone with no one, a stranger, semi-literate, under the surveillance of unfair officials, and persecuted by them. I have absolutely no doubt that the service I have carried out with you these 7 or 8 years and the moral strength which has resulted in success 100 times greater than formerly has arisen from your sincerity. I have also to confess that by your heartfelt sincerity, you have saved me to an extent from the hypocrisy which used to flatter my soul under the veil of fame and renown. Yeah, you have saved me to an extent from the hypocrisy which used to flatter my soul under the veil of fame and renown. God willing, you will be successful in gaining absolute sincerity, and you will cause me to gain it too. You should be aware that it is because of this mystery of sincerity that Ali, may God be pleased with him, and Ghaus al-Azam, may his mystery be sanctified, honor you with their miraculous wonder working and wondrous vision of the unseen. So Ali ibn Abi Talib, the son of the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be blessings and peace, uncle, who from a young age was brought up by the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who later married him to his daughter Fatima. Ali was one of the first to believe in the Quranic revelation and was famous for his heroism in battle. He became the fourth caliph as well. Right, so, and then Ghaus al-Azam, Sayyid Abdul Qadir Jilani is also known as the Ghaus al-Azam, was the eponym of the Qadiri order and a towering spiritual figure in the history of Islam. So he lived in these years 470 to 561, depending on how, and 1077, 11, so a long time ago, and is buried in Baghdad. Right, so he's also known as the revival of many of the real Islamic teachings. So they offer you consolation in protecting manner and applaud your service. Yes, you should have no doubt that this attention of theirs is because of sincerity. If you knowingly harm it, it is from them that you will receive punishment. You should bear in mind the blows of compassion in the 10th flash. If you want to be backed by the support of such spiritual heroes and have them as masters at your head, gain complete sincerity in accordance with the words, but give them preference over themselves, which is Quran section 59, verse 9. Give them preference over themselves. Prefer your brother's souls to your own soul in honor, rank, acclaim, and in the things your soul enjoys, like material benefits, and even in such like so souls your own souls to your own soul in honor, rank, acclaim, and in the things your soul enjoys, like material benefits, and even in such innocent, harmless benefits as informing a needy believer about one of the fine truths of belief. Informing a needy believer about one of the fine truths of belief. If possible, encourage one of your disinclined companions to inform him, so that your soul does not become conceited. If you have the desire to tell him the edifying matter to gain the reward, it surely is not a sin and there is no harm in it. But the essence of sincerity between you might be damaged. All right, so this third rule basically that he's saying is to realize to be united in a way and with sincerity. So there's a strength in that unification of sincerity. Right? And then he's giving examples from his own experience where he said when he was using sincerity in his work that he was doing, that's which it had the most impact in his life as well. Service of service basically to help people come to the understand the message of the Quran. So he felt that sincerity basically was one of the foundations, the key basically to achieving that. And then he gives examples, I think, to appease to certain other belief systems, or schools of thought, maybe, right? Maybe to the some Sufi order or some Shia understanding that, hey, look, don't dis, don't be separated, but form unity. Don't create tension between, oh, I'm this versus you are this. I'm Shia, you're Sunni, or I'm Sufi, you're not, basically. So don't do that as well. So there's an aspect of sincerity, basically, which is for the truth that we are getting united for in a way, right? And then, of course, he's encouraging everyone that you will gain the support of many of these spiritual heroes that, we kind of revere in a way. And then he gives like the practical approach using the Quranic verse, but give them preference over themselves, like section 59, verse 9. So prefer your brother's souls to your own soul in honor, rank, acclaim, and in the thing your soul enjoys, even like material benefits. And even he says, innocent, harmless benefits, informing a needy believer. So needy is important, right? A needy believer about one of the fine truths of belief. Right? So they're like certain truths of belief, fine truths of belief that we need to pay attention to, right? So, Suhail, I would ask you, what are some fine truths of belief that you can share with me?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. So yeah, it's interesting. He um, you know, says that well, I mean, he mentions this like preference of others over oneself. Um, and well, at first, as he said, points out that sincerity has caused great benefit. Even like it makes the small great, even if you think the great is beneficial. Like he gives his own personal life example. He was exiled, persecuted, but in that period, like that's where maybe his best work is produced. Most important work or influential work is produced. Not in Istanbul, not in the big city, not in like in a place where he's known or famous, um, and there are people around him. Um, uh, and he gives the example of historical figures, Imam Ali, Gawth al-Azam, Abdul Qadir Jilani. Uh, so, uh, as he said, like, what are these truths? Like you were asking about, like, what are these fine truths of belief? I think like what Mercy talks about in some sense, like people who study his work, risale-i Nur, understanding like the matters of belief that he mentions throughout his works, um, the meaning of things and understanding how to make sense of the world or how the Quran explains the world. Um, that if someone does it, it's more important that it's done, that someone does it, even if it's not you, than you doing it. Even if you try to seek a reward, it may harm. The greater damage will be between like brotherhood, but sincerity might be damaged. Um, because you're doing it for yourself potentially, and thus causing harm to like unity. So really, the state he says is having preference that somebody else does it. Um, and he mentions encourage one of your disciplined, sorry, hold on. If possible, encourage one of your disinclined companions to inform him. Um,
Disinclined. Yeah, that's
yeah, so I think I don't know what it says in Turkish. I don't know if this is like an accurate translation, but um, at
like
least from what he's saying here,
hesitant,
say it
hesitant.
again.
Maybe.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I said maybe somewhat hesitant, still not convinced.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know if maybe not convinced, but like somebody who doesn't have like confidence or is hesitant
Right.
to share what they know is
Yeah.
better that person than you. So, yeah, because it's interesting, like from his perspective, like he's writing this, he's a teacher to these individuals. The greater goal is to, not only spread belief, but spread these fine truths of belief, but spread them such that like other people can be certain about it, convinced about it, and spread it themselves. You know, like he's starting like or he's part of like as he says in I forget where we read this earlier, part of a large boat. We're all rowing the ship to the shore of salvation hereafter.
Right.
So, you know, you are trying to help others become part of that, rowers of the ship. So, um, so somebody who maybe hesitates doesn't have confidence, it's better that they try to become better at doing this than just you doing it. So I think that, I mean, if that's an accurate translation, I think that's what he's saying. So I don't know, is that what you kind of took away from it?
Yeah, yeah, like before, as we were talking, like all these social matters basically that are invading everyone's mind these days, basically. Right? How do we arrange all these things in our lives, like my relationships with people? And so the author kind of shares basically a lot of these fine truths, which he calls truths of belief in a way. He focuses on how like to establish that God consciousness relationship with everything in life, basically. And from that there basically you can once you understand those things, right, you can kind of work with many other of your social aspects that you have. For example, I don't think like how many people discuss, the way this author kind of focuses on like using evidence-based approach so that you get conviction in belief, right? Most of the beliefs that many I hear also is just accepting it that yeah, this is it. We are that and that's pretty much it. It's not a confirmation based belief. And then one is convinced in their whole being self. Right. So that's what the truths of belief really kind of brings one piece into one's life in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that that makes sense. I mean, I think it's, in terms of preserving sincerity, sometimes it's better if somebody, in other words, I think he's saying like, the encouragement of others becoming certain about belief matters.
Right.
Um, if somebody is the only one doing it, talking, sharing, then
Right.
nobody else is encouraged or confident or certain of themselves, you know? Uh, and unfortunately, that's kind of what happens today. I'm sure, as you know, it's just more of like a lecture. You listen to me talk as I'm talking, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, which is kind of what the opposite of what he says. I mean, that's what he says, give them, but the quotes the verse, but give them preference over themselves. I'm
Right.
actually curious what the context of that verse is, but I don't know if you want to pull it up.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Which one is it? Come on, let's go 59:9. Yeah. So this one in translation is as for those who had settled in the city and embraced the faith before the arrival of the immigrants, they love whoever immigrates to them, never having a desire in their hearts for whatever of the gains is given to the immigrants. They give the immigrants preference over themselves, even though they may be in need. And whoever is saved from the selfishness of their own souls, it is they who are truly successful. Yeah. And there's a historical aspect, I think, when in the many of the exegesis of this verse, basically when the migration happened and then the people, you know, there were the Ansar and then the Muhajir, right? The immigrants and the ones who are helpers of God. So everybody was given like instructions by the Prophet basically, and this kind of this verse also came into, I mean, it's referenced quite a lot basically to from that historical perspective, but here he's tying it to sincerity and unity. I mean, this also mentions about, like preferring your someone else's, like your brother's soul to your own soul for the sake of the truth. Or what is that for the sake of the truth? I'm asking myself also that. Right. So
Yeah.
basically helping someone just like a doctor if they see a sick patient, right? So it's within them that they say, hey, you definitely need to take this medicine. It's just the way human beings are made, right? It doesn't really hurt them just to help them out. So in the same way for human beings to, if somebody you see is in distress or like doesn't know, like if someone gives them the truth, the reality of the world and what we are here for, and hopefully that message, if they're really looking for meaning in their lives, so that give them meaning and purpose in their living. And then also by doing something for others, right? It helps you like practice your belief as well, right? You remove your selfishness from your own soul in a way, which is a real practical example of belief. Any
Yeah,
comment? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that, as I was like you were reading the verse, you could take a historical interpretation, as you mentioned, like, people may take historical, but as it's relevant to me, uh, um, it's saying that people who come to you, um, uh, like there's no like you don't have any sort of jealousy or envy, um, uh, within the nafs. It says ala anfusihim. Um, uh, you know, uh, yeah. So والذين تبوأوا. Let me pull up the verse on my end, but والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا يؤثرون على أنفسهم لو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. Um, so they don't find like uh any sort of like those who came to them and what they were given, they don't find any sort of want in themselves, preference over oneself. They say, وَيَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ, like they don't find وَلَا يَجِدُونَ, they don't find in their sadr, like their breasts, um, haja, I guess, want for what the others were given over themselves, but give preference. Uh, over themselves. Um, Even though they are in privation. Right? Let me see, how does the other person translate it? Even though they may be in need. Um, these it's as kind of as Nursi says, is that um the even though uh they may have embraced Iman matters, they still give preference to those who come to them. Um, like even if something is given to somebody who comes to you, or there's a preference given to them over yourself, that is better for themselves and successful muflihun, because as it pertains to belief, um, you see yourself, like as Murphy says, like as one big body, one communal body. Um, and so you don't try to take, um, at least from what I understand, like superiority or over another. Um, uh, even if somebody has something or doesn't have something, it's the preference, I guess. That is sort of how union is preserved. And I guess it's interesting from this verse, he pulls it from this verse because when somebody immigrates to another place potentially, um, there might be conflict between the ones who immigrate and the ones who are settled. But the way you avoid this and achieve success is preference over oneself, or preference of someone over oneself. Um, so, um, I think that's sort of a personal, or like how we personalize this sort of hijra, or migration, is showing that the preference of another over ourselves is how we attain sincerity and unity. So, um, you know, even if we may be in need, even if there's something that we want, like as he says, like Nursi says, like even if I want to seek reward, even if like there's something within my own self that desires it, it could lead to loss of sincerity and damaged relationships. So
Yeah, I mean, also it starts like with Iman being accepted, right? Comes from
yeah,
their hearts. That
yeah,
the spark.
it's through belief. Like if you are certain about belief, it's almost like it's incumbent or necessary that there's a preference over another over oneself. Um,
Right,
because how can you believe? How can you be so certain and know that like everyone is one and the same body? We're all working towards the hereafter, and then say I have a preference of myself over another. That's sort of incompatible with belief.
right.
You know?
Because if you look in civilization, right, I mean, there's always some sort of ego flattering that happen.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
With the because the belief or whatever what true purpose of life is missing. So it's just for the superficial worldly benefit that usually the whatever help is being done. Whereas, in our discussions with Brother Ali, always he emphasizes on the believers giving charity is different from, some atheists giving charity,
yeah. No, it's completely different. Um, um, I mean, there's sort of like a completely different, like any, um, perspective about the trajectory of our life. You know, like what's our purpose? What's the,
Right.
you know, um,
I mean, exactly, we need to know we are created beings. We are only temporary education purposes for here for life. We're gonna leave this world. Everybody knows that they're gonna die at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe can't hide that fact. It's a fact, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
we really kidding, or who are we playing with? Ourselves or what?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I actually like that he quotes this verse because it changes the perspective of migration or immigration or migration.
Yeah, yeah.
It's people come, people who, even if you may be in need of something, like the preference over the person that's in need and over yourself, even if you may have some want, um, even if they're given something. Um, so, uh, um, it changes like it's a sort of it's a lesson of how to preserve sincerity, um, and unity. And it all starts, as you said, the first thing is, those who had settled in the home and belief with belief. Um, it's only through belief. Otherwise, as Nuri says, there's no sincerity in people of misguidance.
Mm.
There's no like love for another. It's all self-driven, but they only cooperate because they have to, you know? Um, yeah. So, and they are saved, as he says, and they are saved from the stinginess of themselves or the selfishness of their souls. So the preference over, um,
Yeah, they give preference toward themselves even though they may be in need. So
yeah, yeah,
do
yeah,
for your brother who
yeah.
is in need. It will help that brother more than him.
Yeah, and that's why like he in a sense, like that's when you ask about like the fine choice of belief, encouraging one of your distant clan companions to inform them, even if you may be in want of sharing it and you feel like you want to and to gain the reward, whatever that may be, um, it's better to prefer the other to share it than you. So yeah,
A wonderful verse, actually. I mean,
yeah. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I think that's like what we should take away from migration, I guess.
Yeah,
Or one aspect is that sincerity is only preserved through iman, and you can only have iman if you have like iman without sincerity. What is it really then at the end of the day?
exactly. It's just selfishness or
It's just selfishness. It's about, as the verse says, about the nafs.
right.
You know? What
Like
what may yuqa
even for
shuhha
the wrong,
nafsihi.
you will, if with sincerity, you can achieve that basically. Anything wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with the nafs, like with what may yuqa shuhha nafsihi, and those who are safe from the verse you have pulled up translates it as the selfishness. I think some people translate it as stinginess or still. It's probably, I don't know if it's selfishness is a better translation or stinginess, but um,
I
uh,
mean, basically, it's like the satisfying the human soul or
yeah,
the
yeah,
ego in a way, basically.
yeah,
Not
yeah. This self-centeredness and iman are not compatible.
right, right.
They cannot be compatible. Yeah, yeah. Like I think that's why Islam is so different from the civilization currently. Is that it doesn't like do you really see? I mean, within civilization today, do you see really preference over another over oneself? I don't think so. Collectively, maybe individually, some people, but collectively, society, I don't see it. You know?
Yeah, we're lacking that. Agreed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so the immigrants also, like you said, immigrants or immigrants. In terms of belief, it's very different that we understand this.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, and now like I mean, not to I can bring modern events, but like people migrate today. People migrate from one
yeah,
place to another. It happens everywhere.
yeah.
Generally, they don't migrate because of belief, but they migrate because of economic matters. That's kind of the reason for migration today.
Right.
But you don't see people accepting migrants. There's all this anti-immigration sentiment, you know. It's interesting because it's about the selfishness of the soul. This is a completely opposite view of the world.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Completely opposite view of the world. Um, because I mean, I hate to make sweeping judgments, but like collectively as a civilization, there's no belief within civilization really at the end of the day, you know. Not as
Right.
the Quran
Yeah.
presents it, at least to me. Like there's no um, you know, this idea that I mean, I always think about migration. I say that's a if I was living in Medina and all these migrants come, like how would I feel?
Right.
Like,
That's a good
maybe I
point.
don't even have anything to give or have enough myself, and then someone's coming.
Right.
But that's how you that is how, as the Quran says, like you preserve the sincerity or achieve success through this unity, as
Right.
Nursi keeps pointing out, is that why
So
is
wherever you're living, yeah.
Hmm?
I said wherever you're living
Correct, yeah, wherever you're living is
is like Medina, you know.
yeah. Yeah, wherever you're living might be essentially like Medina, you know, same thing.
All right. You can make it Medina.
Or you might be the one who's from Mecca migrating. But nonetheless, um, in the context of this section, it's like you're living in Medina and preferring another over oneself. That doesn't really happen today, honestly. Like as a civilization, like I don't see it, you know. Uh,
Right.
but the first, as he says, like uh the first part of the verse, those who have settled in the Dad, like the home, and it's almost like essentially they go, I don't know the exact grammatical, but it's like and with belief. In other words, they settled with belief, with iman, like they
Yeah.
settled, like their purpose of their very civilization, their city is belief. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the entire foundational principle of that society or
Right.
civilization is belief.
The settling down is actually in
Yeah,
belief,
like
basically.
settling down
In
in
where,
belief. Yeah, like that's their entire being, existence. Their view of, no matter what the circumstances, is Iman perspective, you know. But I mean, you don't see that today.
right.
So, um,
Interesting. Yeah. So wherever we are settling down in a way, right? So
yeah,
it has to be.
like wherever we're settling down,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's all like if you take the Medina we should always try to be in the Medina perspective in that regard within society, or so is that wherever you're settling down, you settle down with belief and therefore preference over another over oneself, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
even if society is not like that, or so this modern civilization isn't, but at least maybe individually we can try to do that, I guess,
yeah.
you know? So, yeah.
But
Um,
how do we like make it more proactive in a way? What would you say right now in our conditions, in our situation?
right. What do you mean by like proactive?
You know, like for example, our brother Adam, for example, is having some event, for example, to
Yeah.
share some message, right? For us, like anything that, I mean, are we settled in our belief as well that we can actually have that, like encourage that system of helping others in a way?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it requires, I guess maybe the perspective that anybody you see is essentially, if you want to make migration personal, like first you have to settle yourself in belief in the home of, in the dot, like the home or abode of belief, even like within your own life, personal life, no matter where you are. And then seeing others potentially who are in need of belief as being migrants, they're migrating.
Okay.
Um, and
And
so then willingly, no matter if you yourself are not like in a position of authority, not in a like you don't have any fame or fortune or notoriety or social media, like that's irrelevant. Is that even if somebody else takes the credit, like preferring others take the credit possibly, and you
right,
just trying to help share what you
right.
know, even if it means nothing in terms of what you gain from it, in terms of worldly things.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like having that perspective, getting that, within the our uh chest. It's interesting. Like I always think about, and I have to think about this more. Like the Quran makes a difference between sadr. like the breast or the chest and qalb. Um, and it uses the word sudurihim like in their breasts or their chests. In other words, like at least from what I understand, is that we may have this sort of like desire, like this shahwa desire for these things, like fame, fortune, notoriety, you know,
Right,
but it's not intrinsic to our soul, our heart. It's just there in the chest, and it's able to be purified. Like there's it's not like something that it's like a disease, but the disease can be cured. It's not who we are. And the question is only through Iman can you sort of that is the cure for this sort of disease within the self. So, you know.
right.
Um
What if
but
someone,
yeah,
what if
yeah.
someone said they're not settled yet, or right in
Yeah,
belief?
I mean, I guess it's a good question. Like, I guess like sometimes you have to first take care of yourself in terms of, I or it's an ongoing process, probably. You know,
Right, right.
it's an ongoing process to be settled. Iman is sort of an ongoing process. So, I mean, no one can say for certain they're settled. You're always sort of trying to achieve that. Every life, every moment's an experience to try to become settled in
Yeah, yeah,
Darul Iman, like home, the abode of belief.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
I know a brother here who helps all the immigrants who come here, like from other countries. He
yeah.
works for the mayor's office, this for the
Mhm.
city, right? But it's all like financial help, basically, like helping them with jobs or getting
Yeah.
internet services, electricity, gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
I mean,
basic
basic
necessities.
necessities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to settle down in the city, basically. Yeah. And then that's the like the city has an office basically to help with that, for
yeah,
example. The
yeah. I
immigrant.
mean, I'm not saying people don't need it, but that's sort of the dominant reason for migration in this civilization. So they see it. So no one sees it from the perspective of belief in terms of like people are in need
Right.
of the fine truths of belief. Or she says they're in need
Right.
of money, but money doesn't help you beyond this life, really, at the end of the day. So.
I mean, we should help it whatever we can in that sense also, right? To help them.
Yeah, we do, but we do what like the most important thing people think of is money.
Yeah.
It's not like it's. I'm not going to even say 1% belief. It's like almost non-existent. 99.99999% material matters, and maybe 0.000% belief. It's completely inverted. So, but
Yeah. Not give it like a big
like I
emphasis.
have personally seen, like just anecdotally, personally seen, the migrants come to the U.S. Immigrants come to the U.S. from other places. They were poor. Like they were legitimately poor. They didn't have anything, and they got jobs. Now they're multimillionaires. You know,
Right.
they have more money than like I can imagine or anybody I knew who grew up here. But did they progress and believe? It's hard for me to say. But like, was that like, what did they get out of all that at the end of the day? Just that's you have a lot of money. Like money is in some sense is easy to get in society. You know, but
Yeah.
to find belief, it's nowhere to be found. Like so. Um, And you can just tell, like, if the emphasis is so much on the material aspect of the world that that's what people are after, for when they come and they immigrate. But then but people see them as being in need of help. Like you said, like the person who helps is like, oh, they themselves see it as from the financial perspective, material perspective. You're not like there's no you're not building an abode of belief then. There's no Medina being built by doing that.
Or just doing the material
Yeah. Yeah.
help, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not saying it's not relevant, but it's like the emphasis is completely disproportionate to what
Yeah.
is needed. So, yeah.
So that you Buna, right? They love basically
Yeah.
I mean, those are coming
Yeah.
to to
Manhaja
help them out.
ilayhim. Yeah. Yeah. They love to help those who are migrant
Yeah.
to them. So
Mhm. Migrants. Yeah.
yeah. So, but what it's done for the
Mm.
purpose of belief, through the lens of belief. As you said, like people give a ton of
Yeah.
money, but that doesn't mean anything in this age, you know? It's not done through the lens of belief. You're not gonna, there's no Medina being built by doing that,
Right.
you know. You know, like even if let's say you stick to practical matters, you said even if somebody in the you said the mayor's office gives them money, throws money at people who come and move,
Right.
there's no iman there. Like you're not, there's no, it's restricted to this world, the life of this world,
Correct. Yeah.
you know. So yeah,
I mean, we don't expect any spiritual help from the.
no, there's no like help for the soul, you know.
Yeah.
People are in need of. So
I mean, yeah, it's politics at the end of the day.
yeah,
That's what it is.
so
I mean, I can't comment on it because I don't know much about it,
yeah. Um,
but I understand there's people that need to be elected again. So that's clear to everyone.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not even
that
sure
needs.
I like the translation. Like I don't know what whose translation you're using. It says city, but Dod it like means like home or a abode or something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah. That's
think of it very differently than just city. City just doesn't that's not what the translate like. Dod is like the home, like it's the place where somebody feels welcome, the abode of belief. That's where you feel contentment, you know?
right. Let's see a few others who
I don't know if somebody
translate
else
this.
on that
Just
says
to
it.
let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
59.
such, I never thought of immigration. It's, alhamdulillah for Nursi quoting this verse. It's a different perspective of migration I have.
Yeah. So that's the translate, but we not like those who are oblivious of God. Is this the one?
59:9.
Which verse? What was it?
Let me go back. I'm looking at my own.
59:9. My bad. I
No, you're
went too
19.
far.
You're 19. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. This project is not faster. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 10, 9. There we go. Their abode, basically. Unto it shall, Asa says, and it shall be offered to unto the poor from among those who before them had their abode in this realm and in fate. So what realm? Those who love all that come to them in search of refuge and who harbor in their hearts no grudge for whatever the others may have been given, but rather give them preference over themselves, even though poverty be their own lot. For such as for their own covetousness are saved, it is they that they shall attain to have happy state.
Yeah. I feel like that's actually a better translation than the one that you had up. So, because it doesn't even actually mention Medina. It just says Dod, like the abode, as Muhammad
Yeah,
says.
about
Oh,
our homes, Safi Kaskar says in their homes, Dash in their homes, although he says in Medina and here,
yeah, yeah. See, like it doesn't. The Quran doesn't even mention Medina in that.
yeah,
You know, doesn't even say
Yusuf
in
Ali,
that verse.
yeah.
You
I will my embrace of it for the I will settle in the city. The clear Mustafa Khattab says city.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's a good translation. I don't think city is a proper. It's like city. It's like almost as if saying like the actual place in and of itself.
Supposed to dwell.
Whereas abode, like home, like the home.
Right. This is land,
Yeah. Dot is it can be very figurative. It can be within your own self,
like the
you know?
house, residence, Al Madina.
Yeah, like this is as you said originally, historical
Yeah. This is
history.
like, that's why it's so alien, the message of what
Yeah,
migration is. And
yeah. Dot is like a very figurative speech almost.
yeah,
Dot, like as in like abode or home. It can be the
yeah,
home within the self, like within our own selves, in addition to the thing outside. But it almost makes it sound like dot means like it's a place of contentment. You know, like you feel at ease, contentment. That's what belief gives you, iman, like daughter, like it's the abode of iman, like contentment, essentially,
Yeah.
peace. Like, yes, I think they want to translate it as city. You can see, like, even some because they want to put Medina in quotes. They want to, it's not,
Yeah. So
it's not a
even
good.
like the non-Orientalist kind of translation. This guy's good, right? Or
Yeah,
abode.
yeah. I think Asad has the best translation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's the most consistent with the verse. I think intent on the verse.
Yeah, but it's a little complicated the way he wrote it
Yeah,
and
it's a little complicated, but in terms of like the language used, it makes
the translation, yeah, like
yeah,
the words he used correct. Yeah. This
yeah, yeah.
makes sense.
So like everybody's quoting, Medina, 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 but that's not what even the Quran verse even says.
I'm not in Medina right now, so how is that applicable to
Yeah,
me?
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, uh, but
And let's continue then. Who so they who come after them pray, O our sustainer, forgive us our sins as well as those of our brethren who preceded us in faith. And let not our hearts entertain any unworthy thoughts or feelings against those who have attained to faith. O our sustainer, verily thou art compassionate and dispenser of grace. So I guess this is still the continuation, basically, so that we purify our own nafs, our own soul, our own egoistic tendencies, basically, to not to be looking for fame or to be praised, right? So practicing that help, basically, that one is to the migrants has to be done, for just recognizing, acknowledging who that I'm a created being, who God is.
yeah,
And of course, seeking forgiveness as part of one of the tenets of having faith or belief.
it's interesting that the Quran even makes mention of this. It's almost as if saying like, hijra is inevitable.
Right,
Through belief, hijra is inevitable, whether your own personal hijra, but or the hijra of others to iman. Like it's just that's what that is what iman is. It's like you're making hijra to iman, so to the place of iman, but literally, possibly, and physically, but also internally. And then people who are making hijra to belief, it's incumbent upon you to aid them. You know.
right, right.
So it's almost as if Quran saying is like Islam is not an individual, selfish, personal matter. It's a collective, you know, matter. That's how you preserve unity and sincerity. So it's one body. It's not like me, you, and that's not Islam. That's not the Quranic perspective. So
Yeah, this
it was
is
complete
clear.
opposite of modern
Let not
civilization.
our heart.
Completely opposite, which is like very everybody's it's selfish, it's per individualistic, you know?
Yeah, self-centered, right? It's the only
Yeah,
feelings as
self-centered. I mean, that's essentially like social media age at the end of the day.
long as they're not being hurt, so they just help
Yeah.
out. But if it's like digging into their own personal property or something, they're like, oh, no, 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 no. You know, the whole rhetoric changes a little bit.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it's
here's like unworthy thoughts or feelings against those who have attained faith, right? So that's a whole different mindset.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think this is a good section. Like I said, I really like the verse he quotes.
yeah,
Gives a different
interesting, I
perspective.
think. Yeah, I think we can stop here. We'll do the fourth next time, I think.
Yeah,
So,
inshallah, inshallah. So
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. سورة الفاتحة. All